The BC government plans to take on housing speculators. In yesterday's throne speech, the new NDP government said it will introduce legislation to, quote, crack down on tax fraud, tax evasion and money laundering in BC's real estate market. We are expected to hear more when the province's finance minister delivers the 2018 budget next week. Will this actually scare off the speculators? We're joined by Steve Saretsky, Vancouver realtor and founder of VancityCondoGuides.com. Steve, thanks so much for joining us.
No worries. Thanks for having me on.
Before we get into specific measures, we've heard, obviously the quality of data in the real estate market still very poor. StatsCan is spending tens of millions to try to fix that. Is there strong evidence of speculation, though, in the BC housing market?
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, I have access to the MLS data, so I've sort of put some stats together for my own benefits, and basically, looking at the condo market, depending on how you want to determine a flip. So I look at it as something that's bought and sold within a 24-month window. In 2017, that made up about 10% of Vancouver condo sales. So and again, just sort of a feet on the ground perspective, there's definitely a lot of speculators. I'm getting a lot of calls from people that are looking for older units, specifically to fix and flip. So I think that it's a pretty big segment of the market right now.
So what do you think they'll bring in? Some kind of a speculator's tax?
Yeah, if I had to speculate myself, I would probably say it will be some sort of tax aimed at people that are engaging in house flipping. I've been curious to see if they somehow omit the pre-sale market, because I think that is a market that is highly speculative right now. So, but obviously, if you want to encourage more supply, you need to, those are the buyers that are buying up that supply.
That's interesting. So the pre-sale is for condos that haven't been built yet. You can wait years before you actually get your unit, I know. But people have been selling these rights to buy, as it were, to each other?
Yeah, we see, I think the reality of the situation is a lot of people that are buying up pre-sales tend not to be end users a lot of the time. So what they'll do is they'll either assign that contract, basically flip it to another buyer before the completion, or as soon as they basically complete on the building, they'll then sell it, or they'll even rent it out. So, a lot of the times, again, like I said, it's not really an end user. The prices that the pre-sale market is charging, more specifically in Vancouver, you're looking at a 20% markup above market value to really lock in a price 2 to 3 years down the road. So it's really a market that is, in my opinion, highly speculative.
Just give us that number again, Steve. So people are buying the right to own a condo, putting down a deposit, as it were. What was that 20% thing again? Yeah,
it's usually about a 20% deposit.
Right. Okay. And so you feel people are buying and selling this. It's obviously an intangible asset. Why would the government not crack down on the pre-sales?
I think that, specifically buyers that are looking to buy into the pre-sale market, like I said, today you're paying about a 20% market premium above market value. So in other words, if a similar unit on the resale market today is selling for $1,100 a square foot, we're seeing them selling pre-sale around $1,300, $1,400 a square foot. So, obviously any buyer that's going to pay that kind of premium to lock in a price is really speculating on higher prices that when they go to close in 2 years, that's what it's going to be worth. And so a lot of the times those buyers are actually looking to basically lock into that contract and then flip that contract before they actually close on it 2 years down the road.
Okay. Now, let me check with you. Is there some measure they could bring in that you think would be destructive, that just would be counterproductive?
I think there's obviously been a lot of policies brought into the market. I think that they're obviously walking a very tight rope right now. We still haven't really seen a lot of these policies shake out, specifically on the mortgage lending side with that new stress test B20. I think a speculator's tax would certainly have a huge impact, and I think if that was brought across into the pre-sale market, I think that would have a huge impact, because, like I said, people that are buying those units are, a lot of them are speculators.
Of course, the government is talking about a major investment in affordable housing, but that's going to take years to build and potentially cool down the private market.
Yeah, it seems, based on everything that I've read and heard them say, is they're going to be pushing towards more and more supply and targeting those flippers or speculators. So, but if they're going to try to encourage more supply, again, you know, if you start bringing in a tax that's going to target those speculators, which are the main buyers, I would say, of the pre-sale market, I don't see how that would help that supply side. So it's kind of finding that balance. You know, I don't know what they're going to do, but you know, they're in a tough spot for sure. Just
give us a geography lesson here, if you would. We know Vancouver is the epicenter for the red-hot housing market. Victoria, super expensive as well. How extensive is this in the province, though? Does it go into areas like the Okanagan, for example?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of realtor connections really across BC, and you know, having these conversations with them, you know, this heated housing market is really in all areas. I mean, I'm hearing there's multiple offers happening in Prince George, you know, obviously Kelowna, Penticton, you know, people on the island. I'm hearing Nanaimo condos are up 30%, which is really just unprecedented.